Hello and welcome to Top Story. Today, Israel, where Prime Minister Ehud Olmert's shock announcement on Monday that he is to have surgery for prostate cancer is the latest in a string of setbacks he's had to face since becoming Prime Minister in January 2006. Yet the Israeli Premier is nothing if not a survivor. He said the cancer had been caught early and that following surgery in a few months there was every chance of a full recovery. The announcement comes as Israel and Palestine prepare for a Middle East conference in the United States later this year. There will be fears now that he will not be able to devote the energy required to peace talks that have already shown signs of stalling. Olmert's popularity hit rock bottom after Israel's inconclusive 30-day war with Hezbollah in southern Lebanon in 2006, and a government report which accused him of a serious failure of judgment. He's also been enmeshed in corruption scandals that may still end with him facing charges. Yet he appears unperturbed, describing himself as indestructible. Well, joining me now from Jerusalem to discuss this latest drama in the life of Ehud Olmert and its possible consequences for the Middle East peace process is Daniel Ben-Simon, a journalist with the Israeli newspaper Haaretz. Thanks very much for being on Top Story. What's been the reaction in Israel to the news yesterday that Ehud Olmert has prostate cancer?
You know, I think that most Israelis viewed the press conference as a very courageous one, as, they faced a prime minister in a time of pain. And they kind of felt sympathy for him. He's been through so many things, as you mentioned, the war in Lebanon, corruption charges. But yesterday was a moment of truth for him. He addressed the Israelis with such a candor that's not really common for him. And I think that the reaction was very well. Even today in the papers, politicians from all over the political spectrum showed sympathy for this moment of truth.
You said that that sort of candor is not normal for him. Is it normal in Israeli politics in general for that sort of candor among politicians about their health?
I must say this is the first time that the Prime Minister shows up and tells the Israelis the truth about his health. We've had Prime Minister who died either in office or after office because of their sickness without us knowing about their illness. So I would say this is the first time with the full transparency that the Prime Minister almost confesses about his problem. And I think it gave the Israelis, who are tough people, but they are tough about Olmert, about his performance, about, you mentioned his ratings are so low. But this moment yesterday was, 5 minutes of candor with the Israelis about a problem. And I think that in times of pain, Israelis show solidarity. That's exactly what happened yesterday.
Well, his ratings were almost rock bottom in single figures, and yet there were signs already last month of a turnaround following the air raid on Syria. Do you think now, too, with the sympathy that undoubtedly he will have for himself, that he could perhaps turn the corner with the Israeli people?
Yes, the Israelis show sympathy in times of pain, but they are very suspicious. If he plays too much on his illness and some security operations, they will catch him at the corner and punish him. But I would say that by this weekend, the polls will show that Olmert maybe doubled or tripled his ratings because of the illness. And of course, what happened last month in Syria, he is now much better than he used to, the last year and a half. The question is, before he goes to this peace conference, what will be his position among the Israelis? Will he have the power and the legitimacy, and how his political rivals will treat his illness? Will they give him the credit to carry on with his duty, or maybe there will be a showdown and tell him, Mr. Olmert, with a cancer and with also, a surgery in sight, you cannot run the country.
And also, will he have the physical and mental strength now to devote all the energy required to those talks, or do you think the illness could set him back?
That's the question that Israelis will ask. It's not an easy country to run. and he's going for a peace conference. So the right-wing people will be waiting for him and will say that mentally and physically he's not capable of running this country. So he's caught in the middle of some health problems, will have some political consequences. He's a tough guy. He's been through so many things. And 2 years after he took over, he's still with us after so many problems that could have really put down anybody else. And I would say that this is now a moment of leadership. Can he carry on? Can he go to this conference with the full self-confidence? Or maybe we will see in the next few weeks signs of weakness in the Prime Minister's behavior. It's still an open question.
Well, you mentioned there the conference, the Middle East Peace Conference is planned to be held in Annapolis in November in the United States. Already signs that it's been floundering. This isn't going to help it, this news, is it?
No, this is not going to help. You know, he had few phone calls yesterday with Americans, with Palestinians, to tell them that, you know, despite the cancer, everything's okay. He's going to lead Israel to this conference with full confidence. But Israelis, I must say, this conference is already dividing the Israelis between those who want to carry on with the peace process and those who don't want to carry on. So I suppose the settlers will wage a war against him and will use the illness to try to put an end to this conference. I think now is really he's starting his 2 years after he took over. He's starting his office, and we'll see very soon if he has the power to carry on and to go to this conference as a real leader.
Well, he signalled yesterday his commitment to final status talks with the Palestinians when talking to the EU External Affairs Commissioner. He said it's going to go ahead. Do you think he is completely committed to it?
I'm not sure. Maybe personally, maybe ideologically, he's committed. He was the one behind the disengagement from Gaza. And among friends, he says that he's willing to go to the 67 borders, to have a Palestinian state alongside Israel. The question politically, publicly, can he really lead the way to such a thing that no prime minister before him had the power and maybe the will to do so?
Okay,
so the question,
we're going to have to end it there, I'm afraid.
We have the will and the power.
That's all we have time for today. Thanks to Daniel Ben-Simon in Jerusalem. Join us again tomorrow for another edition of Top Story. Goodbye.